My guy. Now, what we not finna do is play with God's word. Now, if God said he laid the earth on its foundations and put a firmament over us, then that's exactly what he did. See, in the Bible, God told Isaiah the difference between a ball and a circle. God knew exactly what wordplay he was using in the Bible to describe the earth. In the Bible, God also speaks about the four corners of the earth. A ball does not have corners, but a flat surface do. Now, when I say four corners of the earth, this is what I mean. The same way that man made a compass, a circle compass, and put north, east, south, and west, I'm speaking of exactly that. God also says in the Bible that he set a compass upon the face of the earth. Now, remember when I said that God made the earth as a compass? Okay, so let's talk about it. Now, the compass only recognizes north. North always points towards the center. Hint, the North Pole. Any other direction is only based off the direction of north. How could a compass point south on a globe if they are saying that south is downwards? East and west are curved lines that constantly readjust to align with north. So y'all question is, how come when I'm flying in a plane, I end up in the same place I came from? Well, that only happens with east and west. So if you say that you circled the whole world and ended up in the same place, that's because you were going east and west. But let me tell you something, traveling south is a whole different ballgame. See, because south is any direction leaving the center. See, because if you begin to head south, you will reach the Antarctica ice wall. So traveling south, you will never end up back at the same place. See, because there's a reason they won't allow y'all to travel south and end up at the ice wall. Like, bruh, come on. Even the compass don't want you traveling south. That's why it always points back to north, telling you to turn around every time you start to travel south. See, because if you decide to keep going and get past that ice wall, you will realize there is in fact a firmament over us, keeping anyone from leaving this earth. We couldn't be living in a globe if we wanted to. See, water has to be contained. They say that the earth is 71% water, so that by itself would be impossible. And I know y'all probably be wondering, where do rainbows come from? Now, scientists will tell you they self, to make a rainbow, you need water, light, and a mirror. See, when God said he created the firmament, he spreaded it out like a molten looking glass. See, them big rainbows that you see is proof that we live underneath the firmament. It's the sunlight reflecting off of the firmament to remind us of his promise to never flood the earth again. See, God said he set the earth on its foundations so that it should never be moved. But scientists are saying that we are spinning and moving 1,040 miles per hour. And in 1927, we had no idea what the earth looked like, but created this picture. Now, all of a sudden, in 1997, they go see the earth and it looked exactly like that picture? No. Now, do y'all know who this man is? Probably not. But this is Richard E. Byrd. He was one of the first to discover Antarctica in 1928. See, he found evidence of the flat earth with the firmament over us. Even in his diaries and writings, he said it. See, he traveled all the way to the four corners of the earth. See, and when he found this discovery, what did our government do? They all went down to Antarctica 3 years later to claim a piece of it and to keep the truth hidden from us. That's why the Antarctica ice wall today is just like Area 51. Nobody could go there. Why is that? Are they hiding the truth? See, because that's what it seems like. Because that's what it is. See, and they just keep telling y'all all these lies and y'all just get brainwashed by it. They tell y'all they fly to the moon. See, because my question is, how you gonna fly to the moon when God said he made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night? Meaning that the moon and the sun ain't even solid objects. They're luminary. You can't just go up there and land on it. Like, come on, bro. Everybody know that landing was fake. The flag up there waving. You could see a shadow on the moon. Y'all talking about the stars is outer space. But in the videos and in the pictures, there's no stars in space. See, because y'all gonna have to do more than that to convince me. Because in Romans 3 and 4, God said, let Yah be the truth and every man a liar. But I know y'all gonna ask me, Anaya, how do sunsets work if the earth is flat? See, in Job 9 and 7, God says, who commands the sun and it does not rise? See, on y'all's globe Earth, y'all believe that the sun is setting and rising, but in reality, it's all just about perspective. For example, have y'all ever heard of a vanishing point? See, because in reality, the sun and the moon are not setting and rising, they are rotating. See, because the farther that is getting away from us to rotate around the earth, it's seeming as if it's going down. And the closer that is getting from making its way back around to us, it seems as if it's rising. It's all due to perspective from where we're at. Okay, so y'all like, yeah, nah, I mean, that sound good. But how do seasons work then? See, what I need y'all to know is that the sun and the moon are actually closer than what they are telling y'all. The sun and the moon are inside the firmament with us. See, electromagnetism actually perfectly explains how the sun and the moon rotates on Earth. See, the sun and the moon are not rock or gas, they're light sources. Now, these light sources are in the shape of a disk that rotate the Earth like a clock, but in a coil-like spiral, dictating the seasons and the climate as it goes. See, now when the sun is beyond the equator ring, the northern hemisphere experiences summer, and the southern hemisphere experiences winter. Inversely, when below the equator ring, the southern hemisphere will experience summer, and the northern hemisphere will experience winter. They got y'all thinking that there's life beyond the earth. There is no space, there is no other planets out there. God says he sits at the top of the firmament. Those planets that y'all are seeing in those telescopes, those are called wandering stars. All of these are light sources. They are not solid objects. Alright, Anais, so how does a solar eclipse work on a flat earth? And why can't we see stars during an eclipse of the sun and the moon? See, God says in eclipses the sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the coming of the great and glorious days of the Lord. As so, see, a solar eclipse happens when the sun and the moon decides to rotate over each other. As so. Okay, so why can't we see stars during a solar eclipse? See, God says immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. So why can't you see stars during a solar eclipse? His word tells you everything you need to know. There is nothing outside the firmament that they know of because they can't get past the firmament. God tells us he placed water above the firmament. All these people didn't have the same vision for no reason. There was many times that they have snitched on themselves, saying that they never been outside the earth, saying that there's nowhere to go, saying that they never been to the moon for real. They even be putting the truth into the cartoons. They are steady trying to break the firmament. They trying to nuke the firmament, sending rockets up there to break the firmament. They trying everything in their power. And as a matter of fact, my next video, I'm going to be showing y'all videos of them really saying they ain't never been to the moon. I'm going to be showing y'all videos of them trying to nuke the firmament, them trying to send rockets to the firmament, and even putting hidden truth into these cartoons and movies. These people know exactly what they are doing, and they know exactly what the firmament is. I'm telling y'all, that's exactly the reason why we can't go to the Antarctica ice wall. You can't fly over it. You can't do nothing. They don't want you seeing nothing, knowing nothing. Because they know once we find out that there is an end to this earth, that we gonna know the Bible is the true history of this world. And I want y'all to know that there is no other planets outside of this firmament. When God said he created the earth, I'm pretty sure he would have said I created Saturn, Mars, Neptune, and Venus. He calls those wandering stars. And I want to tell y'all so bad what stars are, but y'all can just see it in the next video because I don't have time to actually explain it right now because I only have 10 minutes on TikTok. But when I tell y'all the truth about stars, it's going to blow y'all mind. See, because what I want y'all to know is back in the day in them old Bibles, before all the wordings was getting changed into their own interpretation, in 2 Samuel 11:11, it said that the earth was flat. But that was before they started changing everything, so people wouldn't know the truth. And that's why God said those who took away from his word and added to his word will be greatly punished. So the whole point to this video is, Let Yah be the truth, and every man.
Wait. This video could change your perspective on everything. You guys know what water acts like in reality, right? It needs a container. It always finds its level at rest. Like, everyone knows this, right? Like, no matter what container you put underwater, it's like all on the surface, it's gonna lay level. Like, I hope that we can agree on this. This is just like basic reality. When water doesn't have a container, it runs to find its level or its new container. So, riddle me this. There's this many gallons of water in our ocean. How am I supposed to believe that I'm on this? Where is the level water? And where's the container? Got something really weird. This will put this into perspective. Yeah. Just look at this picture too long and yeah. Is anyone thinking about this? Like, that many gallons of water. We know how water acts. You think that it's just deciding to curve 8 inches per mile squared to the convexity of an oblate spheroid? Sea level, guys. Sea level, not sea curve, for a reason. And water doesn't lie. People do. Like, if you weren't aware, we're using water as a leveling tool. It's pretty good at finding its level and laying level. But that's not all water can tell us. Wouldn't there be distortion to this surface if there was any convexity? Like, it looks like perfectly reflected to me. And you may say, well, on your model, where's the container? All the water's falling off the edge. Take a picture of the edge, bro. There's no edge. Sorry. Antarctica's actually not a continent on the bottom side of an oblate spheroid. It's actually an ice wall. Kind of like Game of Thrones, yeah. Encompassing us 360 degrees, containing the water. Seriously, water needs a container. I don't know how many times I have to say this. Observable, repeatable, measurable, yeah. Yeah, this, nobody can model this. I don't care how big the ball, I don't care how little the ball. Give me a ball and make water stick to the outside of it while it spins and everything, you know, like, show me, like, seriously. This is for the guy that commented on my last post and said that the Bible tells everyone the earth's a ball. Seriously, man. Read the Bible again. But if you guys want more pseudoscience being exposed on your For You page, make sure you're following me here and then click on my profile and check out my link tree. It's got my podcast, my Telegram, my YouTube, everything. And be like water, guys. Don't get attached to spinning balls.
Do you believe they're hiding more land from us? Well, I do. And I'm not even talking outside of the ice walls. The ice walls that surround our level, flat realm and contain all the water of the oceans? No, I'm talking places like the North Pole, where they just show desolate water. And maybe even places near Australia. Because when you look at old maps, like this Mercator map from 1569, you see places like this, and when blown up, look like this. And this North Pole, where they show that desolate water, is no longer on the maps. Now, did this disappear, or are they just hiding what our compasses are drawn to in the center of our flat realm? Because not only do they have treaties like the North Pole Treaty that prevents any independent travel to this area, but they also spent millions of dollars and thousands of hours of manpower creating what they call the dew line that is supposedly supposed to detect if anyone is coming across to the United States. But in my opinion, it's to detect if anyone's going towards that center.
Above the Arctic Circle comes the first film report of a 3,000-mile radar warning network across the top of the world. The distant early warning line, the dew line. In camps like this, from Baffin Bay across the continent to the Bering Sea, 5,000 men are working. With steam-assisted pile drivers, they're forging an electronic chain to give North America 6 hours of warning of enemy attack.
And that creation of that dew line just coincidentally happened to come a few years after Admiral Richard Byrd took a flight to the North Pole and didn't report seeing ice and snow, but land areas consisting of mountains, forest, green vegetation, lakes and rivers, and even an animal resembling a mammoth. So not only do I think they're hiding things in the north, but I think they're hiding things in the south. Because Lord knows, these controllers of the world, they like to put things in plain sight in movies. And when you look at current maps or globes, and they look like this, but they show us this. And when you look at the logo for the United Nations that just happens to be a flat earth map in Australia, looks a bit longer than in the normal maps. And when you look at the Hammond map that just happens to be the map that all the pilots use and happens to be an exact match for the flat earth map, and again, Australia looks longer than they show us, you have to ask yourself, would they hide land from us? Would they hide it so we don't know the exact nature of this realm we live in? Would they hide it so they can have their own private islands, not governed by any officials? I know what I think, but I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. And as always, this video is only opinion. I wasn't serious. It's satire and just entertainment. And if you want to show off your critical thinking skills with some apparel, check out fitasflatearther.com. Peace.
I personally believe that this is the closest depiction of what the Earth actually looks like. As we all know or should know, we live in an enclosed system. Therefore, there is an ice wall surrounding this entire planetary system, in which we are in the middle of this enclosed system. And outer space is not real the way they described it and showed y'all. Outer space is not actually above us and out of this planetary system. Outer space would be this outer layer that is outside of our ice wall here in the middle. Extraterrestrials or aliens do not come from above outer space. Extraterrestrials come from beyond the ice wall.
I view the other side as uneducated.
I'm running.
They think they are
I'm
uneducated.
running for this.
Well, they certainly think they're educated.
And they're following quite a bit of, the university system, what we call scientism.
Right, scientism.
Obviously is the belief in what's written, where we tend to be exploring in the field with physical properties, not theories of any kind. We're using actual measurements that are calculated not by our guidelines, but the guidelines of science as we know it. I can only hope they're uneducated as opposed to disingenuous.
Well, that's the other thing too, because we know that it was on a large scale, the government has been disingenuous, and they're pushing a narrative, right? So it's hard for us. I mean, I'm sure that you've met people too. It's like, look, are you haven't looked into it yet, or are you a shill? Are you part of a disinformation campaign?
I don't think you guys are uneducated. I think you're wrongly educated.
I think the problem with what I've seen in the flat earth crowd is that it's not that they're undereducated, but they, instead of looking at evidence and letting the evidence guide to where the ultimate conclusion is, they start with a conclusion and then they try to cherry pick evidence to support their pre-drawn conclusion. They cast away all the bits of evidence that actually is contrary to their belief system.
I think that you're very well educated as well as you are, Jim.
Certainly Ali is. He's probably got the best education of all of us.
Exactly, and he paid for it too. But more and more professionals are coming on board. They're starting to question their reality. So the thing of it is once you start to really take a hard look at the evidence, and you are unafraid of just standing for the truth, wherever that may lead you, then people end up becoming flat earthers.
3 million miles away? I think not. I saw the setup occurring in the cloud patterns from where I was, knowing that tonight would be very likely spectacular to illustrate the placement of the sun in the clouds. And that's also what I'm highlighting here. the position of the sun vanishing from this perspective or setting is considerably more west. It was way over there just even a month ago. Now it's right over here. Take a close look at that cloud that the sun is nestled in the midst of. What do you make of that? The reason why I do this and the reason this is important is simply because of the mass mind control programming that's inundating the population of the world. And I'm one of the individuals that will help you to see this world in a different perspective. That's why I do this. Look at the hot spot in the middle of the top of that cloud. Pretty interesting, isn't it?
The idea that the Earth is a flat disk or plane comes from most ancient civilizations, including Egypt and Greece. In early Mesopotamian mythology, the world was portrayed as a flat disk floating in the ocean with a hemispherical sky dome above, and this forms the premise for early world maps. The famous flat Earth Flammarion engraving from 1888 depicts a traveler who arrives at the edge of a flat Earth and pokes his head out through the firmament. The earliest documented mention of the spherical Earth concept dates back from the 6th century BC, when it appeared in ancient Greek philosophy with Pythagoras, and later Aristotle and Euclid wrote about the Earth as a sphere, but remained a matter of speculation until the 3rd century BC. It is said that Aristotle provided evidence for the spherical shape of the Earth on empirical grounds around 330 BC. Ptolemy wrote geography at the height of the Roman Empire, 1,300 years before Columbus sailed, and considered the idea of a round planet. In 1543, Nicholas Copernicus proposed the first heliocentric model of the universe. The spherical Earth gradually began to spread beyond the Hellenistic world. From then on, and the concept of a spherical Earth replaced earlier beliefs in a flat Earth. Most of the ancient cultures believed that the Earth was flat, the same ancient cultures that built the pyramids and seem to have more knowledge about our world and universe than we do today. Many religious texts also refer to the Earth as a flat disk or a plane with an impenetrable dome known as the firmament. And we made the sky a protected canopy, yet they turned away from its signs.
What are the chances that the sun and the moon are the same size, shape, and can perfectly eclipse? That's a 1 in a billion, folks.
Another being the fake Photoshop pictures that we see of the Earth. Look at the official images that NASA presents to the public. The size of North America changes with every new picture. What would be the reason for that? Well, NASA employee Robert Simon has gone on record saying that the Earth is photoshopped because it has to be. So why don't we have any real pictures of the Earth? Is it possible that the Gleason's map could be the actual map of the world? It states at the top, scientifically and practically correct, as it is. This map is the same map used for the United Nations logo. The map says at the bottom that the sun moves in circles around the tropics, meaning that Alexander Gleason, the creator of the map, suspected that the Earth didn't move. Also, Gleason wrote a book called Is the Bible from Heaven? Is the Earth a Globe? Here are some interesting clips about the maps that we use today.
How many of you have ever seen this map?
Seen that map?
Yeah, isn't this the map that you use K through 16 in the United States of America? Now, folks, look at this map. According to your social studies teacher, what is the equator?
Right
An imaginary line where?
Yeah.
Around the center of the Earth. Then if this map is correct, then the equator must be here, and Chicago has a tropical climate. Now, folks, this is the map that we use in the schools. Look where the United States is, in the middle of the world, right? Now, here's the USSR, which is no more, of course, Mongolia, China, Africa, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Now, look over here. USSR, Mongolia, China, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Twin Indias here. We have 2 Indias. Did you know that? Now, people, this is a flat-out lie. Look at the size of Greenland and the size of South America. According to your social studies teachers, what were continents? Largest land masses on the face of the earth, right? Now, do you know the continents? Africa, Asia, Australia, Antarctica, Europe, North America, and South America. Did I say Greenland? Well, Greenland isn't a continent, but it's a huge landmass according to this map, right? The map is a flat-out lie, people. If you read the legend on the map, here it says, in fact, South America is actually 9 times larger than Greenland.
Are you saying the map is wrong?
Oh dear, yes. Look at Greenland.
Okay.
Now look at Africa.
Okay.
The 2 land masses appear to be roughly the same size.
Yes.
Would it blow your mind if I told you that Africa is in reality 14 times larger?
Yes.
Here we have Europe, drawn considerably larger than South America. When it's 6.9 million square miles, South America is almost double the size of Europe's 3.8 million.
Alaska appears 3 times as large as Mexico, when Mexico is larger by 0.1 million square miles.
Germany appears in the middle of the map when it's in the northernmost quarter of the Earth.
Wait. Relative size is one thing, but you're telling me that Germany isn't where we think it is?
Nothing's where you think it is.
It is speculated by many that perhaps the plane that we live on is either extremely expansive or it's possibly endless. Is it possible that more land is being hidden from the general public? In a 1954 interview with Admiral Richard E. Byrd, who was an American naval officer and explorer, had this to say. But strangely enough, left in the world today is an area as big as the United States that has never been seen by a human being, and that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored. It sounds a lot like he is implying that there is more land past Antarctica. A recent discovery of an ancient Buddhist map in a newspaper from 1907 seems to support the idea of a vast, expansive Earth with many more continents past the Arctic ice walls. How fast does Earth orbit the Sun? The Earth's orbit speed around the Sun is about 67,000 miles per hour, 107,000 kilometers an hour, according to Cornell.
One of the greatest proofs that the Earth is flat. We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. We're orbiting in the heliocentric model of the Earth, the Sun at 66,600 miles an hour. While doing that, we're chasing the Sun at almost 500,000 miles per hour. So we're corkscrewing and spinning through an infinite universe, never to return to where we were before. The Georgia Guidestones had a little hole drilled in the middle stone, and if you look through it, there is the star Polaris, our North Star. How can we be traveling in all these different directions, traveling infinite distances, and that star just always remains in that hole? There's no way it would be in that circle a day, let alone 40 years. But it was there.
Somebody blew it up.
It's interesting to me that most people believe in a spinning ball traveling at speeds that you can't even imagine, yet they have a problem with a stationary Earth that doesn't move. Just remember that gravity has never been proven as an unquestionable truth.
If gravity is causing us to spin as we orbit the sun, then why doesn't the moon spin as it orbits us? Uh-oh. Houston, we have a problem with the heliocentric model. It's kinda sus.
Everything on which science bases itself are only evidences, and evidences are not proofs. A logical, alternative explanation would have to be density and buoyancy. If something is heavier than air, it will fall. And if something is lighter than air, it floats. Very simple.
And if the sun is an explosion of hydrogen and helium gas in an infinite space vacuum, where is it getting its oxygen from? And when have you ever seen a perfectly circular explosion? Never!
if we really live here, then what would be the motive in lying to us and telling us we live here? Well, first of all, money, and lots of it. Space and space exploration makes trillions of dollars. NASA makes $69 million a day off your tax dollars. That's more than all the McDonald's in the world makes a day, because they only make $63 million. Now, that's just the materialist's motive. I think it goes deeper and more spiritual than that. Because we are talking about the Hebrewic, the ancient depictions of Earth, the biblical depictions of Earth. Because modern science would say that the Big Bang created the universe. But think about that. Uni-verse. One verse, one string of words. You see, the Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He spoke it into existence with just one string of words. And he created a vaulted dome, also known as the firmament. And the new version of Earth doesn't have a firmament. Now, we all know about this guy, Satan, right? He used to be an angel named Lucifer. The whole reason he got cast down from heaven was because he was jealous of God and wanted to be God. And not being able to create a world of his own, he had to pervert what was already created and make his own version, even calling it the universe. One string of words. We were given clues in Revelation 13 of how we could point him out. It says, here is wisdom, the one who has understanding, let him calculate the number of the beast, for it is a man's number, and his number is 666. Here's one example. Man is made of carbon. Carbon is comprised of 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. This signifies that our material self is finite, and we should live by the Spirit and not by the flesh. We are left with several clues showing us how to find the number of the beast and separate from that. Just like this model here. We got a 23.4 degree tilt on Earth, leaving 66.6 degrees in a 90 degree angle. Not only that, but this elliptical orbit, the Earth actually speeds up and slows down by 666 miles per hour in this orbit. Also, the Earth's curvature, it actually curves at 0.666 feet per mile squared. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. With Satan's perversion, he wants you to open the Bible, begin to read, and see that there's so many contradictions within the first paragraph or two that you just shut it and say, well, this doesn't line up with science. Knowledge truly is power, and if you live in this perverted version, then your mind has become captive. And we have so many people with Stockholm Syndrome who defend that model and allow themselves to stay in the prison of their mind and spirit. As we are trying to make people aware of the biblical depiction of Earth, I'm noticing that this version tries to lie about this one to try to poison the well or create a straw man of this model. You will see them insist that we live on this little flat disk going around the sun with all the other planets, or that we're just a disk floating in space and the sun and the moon just go around it like this. So how come if this is the truth, it can't just fight fair and allow this to be what it is? Allow it to be what we really believe rather than try to poison the well? Well, it's because the demonic forces and principalities that rule this world are liars. Well, you see, the truth is the truth whether you believe it or not. A lie needs your permission and participation to even exist in your mind. Now, if this were the truth, would it feel the need to lie about this to try to strengthen its argument? No. The last thing that this guy wants you to figure out is that you don't live in his world. You were more than just a sack of flesh that came about by chance and you're just going to rot away with everything else. He thinks he's deceived you all. He thinks when you open the Bible, you're going to see his world rather than the Creator's world. He thinks he's got you all fooled. But we're waking y'all up.
What about the geodetic curvature experiment performed on the buildings? Measurements were done of the bases and tops of 2 buildings, one in Torres, Rio Grande do Sul, and another in Natal, Rio Grande do Norte, 3,050 kilometers apart from each other. According to the theory of the spherical Earth, the distance of the measurements of the bases must be different than the measurements of the top, even in a few meters. But if the measurements are equal, this would show that the Earth has no curvature. Remembering the opinion of the INCRA engineers before the experiment,
probably there will be in relation to the extension of this line, perpendicular to the baseline. I believe it will be longer.
Thinking of the Earth as a globe, the initial expectation was that the measurements were different.
But when the results arrived, the base and the top measurements were the same, showing that the two buildings are leveled upright. And here the opening angle, where we read the point here, the base of the building and its height. As we do this calculation here, on this plane, we will always find this distance here. On this plane, we will always find this distance here.
the identical measurements of the distance between the bases and the tops prove that between the two buildings there is no curvature, proving that the Earth has no spherical shape. Gravity is the theory that science considers as the main factor to keep everything in harmony on a spherical planet.
Water does not come off the Earth because it has a central force pulling towards the center of the Earth, which is gravity. It does not exist. According to the experiments, gravity does not exist. From the fundamentals of nature, Plumb and Level overthrow the theory of gravity.
The plumb is an instrument used to gauge verticality. It is of fundamental use in civil construction to guarantee the verticality of the buildings.
This tool we use to get the wall in the right plumb because it cannot be out of plumb because the wall can fall. So this plumb is used for this, to keep it right and steady on the plumb. Neither there nor here, right there in the plumb.
The use of the plumb is the only way to ensure that construction is being erected in vertical alignment. The level is an instrument used to measure inclinations and is fundamental to ensure horizontality. It's used extensively in the areas of civil construction, surveying, photography, and astronomy, among others. The most common model is the bubble.
Any construction has to have level and plumb, because if it gets out of plumb and level, it can fall. That house can fall. This equipment is a system of communicating vessels and is used in the laboratory to demonstrate the behavior of water leveling. In whatever position we place the system, the water that is inside will always search its level. This behavior of the leveling can be proven not only in laboratory, but we can prove this in field experiments in ponds, lakes, and the seas.
This is a micro version of what we find all over the planet, leveled waters.
By verifying that the water remains level, both in micro and macro environments, it's also verified that gravity does not exist, because if this force existed, the waters would follow the curvature of the planet. But then, what forces act to maintain harmony?
The Bible is a flat earth book. You have to take it literally. Like, for example, in Isaiah, when it talks about how the earth is like a clay wax seal that's stamped with upturned edges, that's just not some fancy story. That's a simile. It is like.
Right, absolutely. And in Isaiah it talks about too, and I'm a Christian, he who sits upon the circle of the earth. There's a difference between a circle and a ball.
Well, exactly. If you look at the original Hebrew, it means disc. There's over 200 scriptures in the Bible that point to a flat earth.
Why is that one particular text the correct one? You choose to believe that, and that's fine, but there's so many other writings and so many other books, so why weren't they correct? Why is just the Bible correct?
Well, what you'll find in a lot of these ancient religions is they're all flat earth religions. All their cosmology goes back to being a flat earth with an enclosed system. So it's not just the Bible that teaches this.